Hello and welcome back to the Wizards Arena, my fellow Planeswalkers. Today is Season 1, Episode 9, Lands for Tech Your Deck. So we're going to start off with our first card, Flooded Plain. Now we had to make a few little changes to this episode, but basically all the lands we're going to be looking at for the most part are white-blue lands. We could have chosen any two color combinations, but I just figured that was a pretty good way to start off with. So Flooded Plains, about $2 from Mirage. Unfortunately, they've never made the enemy colors for these fetch lands. They're in about 1% of decks, so if you want the white-blue fetch lands for your decks, this is a sweet little budget. They also made a Commander version reprint, so you probably get it for a little cheaper. But it's fine. Comes in play tap. You go get a plains or an island, put the land into play. So instead of paying life, you just get the land, but you have to wait a turn because it's tapped. Next up, we have the upgrade version of Flooded Strand. Yay! We don't know what this card does. It's in about 13% decks, and it's $20. So it's a super solid upgrade. Again, you can get any plains or islands instead of coming to play tapped. Comes into play untapped, but you pay the life to use it right away. Doesn't really matter in Commander. You got 40 life. Pfft, what's 1 life? Again, at least with this cycle, it's all 10, but the enemy lands are really expensive, especially the blue ones. Moving on. Prairie Stream. Sad to say, Wizards again sticks us with a land cycle that they haven't made the enemy ones. I was hoping we get this in return to Zendikar, but we didn't this year. So I guess we have to wait to the 4th back to the Zendikar or something. This land's sweet. It's not even $1. Lots of you know about it though, so it doesn't get into like that whole category of, you guys really don't know about it, but 70 cents, can't really complain. This double check land, checks to see if you have 2 basic lands, or as I call it, the Santa land, because you're checking your list twice. Oh baby. Next up, to upgrade it, you just play Glacial Fortress. You're checking once to see if you have a plains or an island. It doesn't have to be basic. It's $4, and it's about the same percentage of decks. Nothing earth-shattering here. Superland, if you can find these cheap, go for it. They were printed in Ixalan, so kind of recently you might see them. The enemy colors coming back when we had the Strand, because that's one of the first times they were introduced. Next up, Temple of Enlightenment. Okay, gang. About 16% of decks run it. It's about 75 cents. These things are super cheap right now, especially the enemy colors, because of Core set 2 years in a row having it. Always comes into play tapped. Scry 1. About all I can say is run, go get them. These cards are amazing. Like, yeah, you might only need 1 of each or 2 of each, but so that means for like $15 you can pick up 2 play sets. Like, go do it. Go get your 20 lands. Be happy. Mana bases are the most important thing in Commander. If you don't have the right colors, you just sit there in your 3 or 2 color deck and can't do anything. The land I'm going to be comparing this one to is one that also comes into play tapped all the time. And this one has a full cycle of 10. And so does Celestial Colonnade. We also have a full cycle of 10. Always then just play tapped. white or blue, spend 5 mana, becomes a 4/4 white and blue fly-in vigilant creature. For the most part, all the mana lands are really good. The red-black one, it's alright, and then the blue-red one is probably the weakest. I mean, the blue-black is unblockable, the red-black has weak fire breathing, red-green is trample, white-green is reach, white-black has lifelink, blue-red is the weird one that flips power and toughness back and forth. Black-green has death touch, red-white has double strike, and the green-blue has hexproof. So they're all good. This has come down a whole bunch. It used to be like $25, $30, played a lot in Maldarin, but it's got reprinted twice recently. It's only $3, and it's only in 3% of all white-blue decks, which is kind of surprising. So I would recommend you go pick it up. You know, it's a really nice, cheap white-blue land, and has a potential upside later on in late game attacking. It's also a really big dude. Next up, we got Clearwater Pathway. I didn't choose the white-blue one because it's not out yet, so the percentage index is not going to be correct. This land's sweet. It's not quite $4. It's in 14% of decks. I usually play these in 2-color decks. Because if you start playing them in like 3 or 4-color decks, you'll just be sad. You go to play, choose blue or black, play one side, or the other. So you're locked in, but if you draw and you're low on blue, you can play for the blue side. If you're low on black, play the black side, you know. It's not bad. Next up, its upgraded version. Hollowed Fountain. Now, you know, 50% of you guys know this card exists. The other 50%, let's have a talk. It's about $6. Comes into play tapped, pay 2 life. If you don't, it enters battlefield tapped. So, you know, pay 2 life, shock yourself, have an untapped land. Counts as a plains and an island. It's sweet because it was just in standard and rotated. Modern's not being played right now. You can get them cheap. If you can't afford this, because I would encourage you to like get this if you don't have these, because they're always good. Just wait to Kaladesh. I mean, the new set that's coming out next month in February. Go get the white-blue common snowland. Same thing. Land, plains, islands, common. Be like probably like 50, 75 cents when it first comes out and then drops because everybody's opening packs. It's going to, that card's going to really help out people's land curves, and then the uncommon versions too. They only tap for 1 mana, but again, you have a full cycle of 10. These lands are sweet. I love them. I picked up a bunch when they were cheap. Next up, what do we got? Castlevan. Ooh, baby, Throne of Eldraine. Holy shnikes, what is all this silliness? Well, what it is, guys, is I decided to highlight the whole cycle. This one and the black one are the ones that I played the most at 8%. And then you got price ranging from 30 cents all the way up to $2.80. This guy will set you back 65 cents. And if you have an island, he comes into play untapped. And for 4, you can scry 2. All of these, I think, are really good for Commander. The one I think is the weakest really isn't that weak in the right decks. Like, all these are good in the right decks. So for 65 cents, you have the blue castle. For 281, you have the black castle. And does unless tapped unless you control a swamp. Spend 2 black in the colors, tap it, draw a card, and lose life equal number of cards in your hand. And with all the life you start with, this is amazing. This is amazing in life gain decks, vampires. Like, there's just so many things that's great with. This castle's amazing. Then the red one's in about 5% of decks, and this is the cheapest one. Enters battlefield tapped unless you have a mountain. Taps for red. Spend 3. Buff your whole team. I really like this if you're playing goblins, dragons. I even like in the pirate deck. Any deck where you can give your creatures first strike or they have first strike, this is really good. So, this might be good in the Boros red, white, knight build. So I feel it's underrated and, it's super cheap. So, like, what? You're going to have a couple of non-basic red lands in your deck? Go get this thing. This is pretty cool. Next up, we have the green one. This one is run about 7%. And this is the most expensive one at $3. Gotta have a forest in play. Yep. Tap for green. Okay. Spend 4 and this land. Get 6 mana. Not a huge ramp up. But you can only cast creature spells with this or activate abilities on creatures. Sure, you're playing heavy creatures. That's fine. Whatever. And then finally we have the white one. It's about $2. It's in about 5% of decks. Spend 4 mana, tap this land like a 1/1 white human dude. Sure. It's fine. Making dudes is really good in white to overwhelm your opponent. Sounds sweet. This cycle is really strong, really cheap. I like all of them. Next up, we got Field of Ruin. I really like Field of Ruin because it's in 4% of all decks. It's 37 cents. You can sack it and spend 2 mana and destroy a non-basic land. So if somebody's got Cradle, City of Traders, Ancient Tomb, any of those castles I just showed, or Dual Land, just something you really dislike, you blow it up, everybody searches for a basic land card and put it on battlefield. So, the arch enemy's gonna have control, you set the arch enemy back, blow up that land, and you can help everybody else out, ramp up to get the arch enemy. Great. Sold. Sign me up. Next up, we got Temple of the False God. It's in about 18% of all decks. It's going to set you back about 20 cents. Add 2 to your mana pool. Activate this ability only if you control 5 or more lands. Well, this is why it's 20 cents. If you control 5 or more lands. If you draw this in open in hand, it's pretty bad. If you draw late game, fine. Great. Made in the sun. I kind of wish it said tapped out of colorless if you control like 6 or more lands, then add 2, something like that. I had it in all my decks, and eventually I started swapping it out for Field of Ruin, because I just rather have the guaranteed 1 mana all the time. But then there are decks like Dragons, Eldrazi, where I want 2 mana, and I'm willing to take the chance. So instead of having like 38, 39 lands, I count it as a spell. and have like 40 or 41 lands. I just stack it really high. People seem to have low land counts. My green decks run like 36, 37, non-greens like 39. And with the new double spell land cards, I have bumped up to like counting those as half lands, so like 40. And my landfall deck's like 43. But, and if you want to upgrade this, the upgrade card is Ancient Tomb. This card's sweet. Taps that 2 to your mana pool and you take 2 damage. Always works. Never fails you. It's not like in, you know, like it only doing 2 to you is kind of like it's just great because you have 40 life. Like, how can you complain? Like, oh no, I'm losing like 20th of my life. Oh darn. This even got played in Standard when there was a thing back in Tempest. Yes, I remember. Um, it's super, you know, only about 12% of decks run it, but the reason is it's almost 40. It's 38. It's a huge upgrade. Um, if you're going to upgrade cards, I'd rather upgrade to shocks and stuff like that, or check lands, because they're like $4 and $6 upgrades. Not like this where it's $40 and this one card won't make that much of a difference. If you get the check and the shock, you know that's $10 and you upgraded 2 cards in your deck. Well, my name's been Draymore with the Wizards Arena. This ends Season 1 of Tech Your Deck. We'll be returning Monday with Episode 1 for Season 2. We're going to do all commons and uncommons. None of them will be upgrades over the other ones. It will just be 10 good uncommons and commons for your deck, for each color. It's going to be about 9 episodes again. I'll see you guys in that video. Please like, share, and subscribe and comment below. If there's some cards you want to suggest for that series, let me know. And you follow us on the Facebook. Have a great day.